Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are, flipping houses for rookies.
Yeah, good morning.
That's how we should do
That's
it.
how we don't start.
But that's why we go, all right, here we are.
Wake up!
What is it? Good morning, Vietnam. That's where I got it from.
That's right. Oh, really? The all right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, here we are at Flipping Houses for Rookies, episode number 185. Yay!
Yeah. Woo!
15 to go to get our new intro. I haven't even started it yet.
No,
I had everybody's agreement.
Yeah.
I had the words.
You
I
have words?
I have an idea of the words.
Okay.
So I got to get through the internship, and then I'm going to write it.
Well, I was working on an instrumental.
Nice.
So you want instrumental and that?
Yeah.
Okay. I have two in the bag already. And I was writing one yesterday morning when I woke up at 5 in my head.
Nice.
Can't remember it though.
All right. Episode number 185. Yeah, no, that's not it.
It's something like that.
Okay. New, remarkable, and breakthrough ways to turn real estate investing time into profits. Dun, 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 dun. I did some of this last night in the meetup. It was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
If, only if, Peter, you are struggling with finding time to do real estate investing and need to drive a stake through the hearts of the time vampires stopping you from getting results, this very unusual and breakthrough podcast is going to be perfect for you.
That's kind of like everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, that gets a big pool of people. Turning real estate into profits is a very sought after activity for many, many, many people. So, why is it so few people make it?
It's a nice idea.
Why? It's a question I've been exploring a lot lately, to only find out many have too much noise in their lives that suck up time and energy they should be using to get ahead in life. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. There goes your dreams, right down the drain.
Bill, we need sound effects.
Mine aren't that good. Is that what you're saying?
Well, those aren't bad, but I should bring a table full of like.
Even if you are strong enough to keep these needy, thirsty, time-sucking vampires from feeding on you, you can carve out and be able to carve out some time to do real estate. Here's my question. What do you do then? What do you do when?
Bill, I'm sorry. That's just what happened to me the last couple of weeks. I'm doing this. I'm putting more time. I'm sitting down. Wait a minute. I should be doing this, and this, but I can't do that because of that. Oh, son of a gun. And I'm like kind of juggling. So we're going to have a little talk after the meetup. So just to organize, because I'm there now. I made progress. Like I have some time now and I'm doing, but it's become more education. Like, wait a minute.
Good. What's important to do and what's important not to do? That's the question, my Peter.
Oh, yeah.
What activity could give you the best return on your investment or profits quickly? This ear-popping episode will not only revive the dead, aka vampires, but launch you into real estate profits like I had to read my own writing. Sorry about that.
Say like
no
no
ball
dog.
out of the cannon.
Say like no, or no dog. Remember that one? Like no dog. What the hell is that one?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's just another saying.
All right, the hell with that. So I fumbled my way through the intro, so now let's just get
it's something
right
about time
it.
and not wasting time in vampires.
Hopefully, here we go. hopefully you picked this podcast to listen to it because you're pretty serious about turning real estate into income. And you're motivated enough to take action once we are done today. Hopefully. As you have undoubtedly discovered, time is the most precious asset most humans have. And if used correctly, can fulfill us like nothing else here on planet Earth. Right?
That's true.
I mean, think about it, Peter. When you're on the beach, and where do you go? Cancun? Where is it? Which one is it?
Anything in the Caribbean is fine.
In
Bahamas,
the Bahamas,
Virgin
that's what I'm
Islands,
thinking.
Dominican
Bahamas.
Republic, anything in the Caribbean
Do
is
you
fine.
feel fulfilled at that moment? Not in life, but in my, like, I made money and I did it. I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
Finally,
I done
After
good.
65 years, I got my only vacation that I chose to think was my only vacation and forgot that I actually did it last year. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your reward for, all that stuff.
Right. Time to do real estate deals could be the highest rate of return for most of our listeners today. If you're going to spend time doing something, real estate deals will give the most bang for the buck.
True that.
If that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for like money and rate of return, I mean, think about it. What other activity could you do that you work once and get multiple profits if you do it correctly?
Not many.
Or multiple returns, not even profits, multiple returns.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it. Like, you could maybe be a music writer, or you could have some royalty or something like that.
You have to have some product sitting out there, music business, and there's some people that have killed it. But that's pretty prestigious. Yeah. How many people write hit songs and just hang on to their publishing rights or buy them from Sony or Michael Jackson?
I've written a few hit songs. I just haven't showed them to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, I
haven't done that.
I've written a few and forgotten when I woke up. Half the songs, the great songs, yesterday, Saturday, Saturday. They wake up like, I got a song.
Can you tell Peter's a big Beatles fan? All right. Here we go. But what we are about to do. All right. So let me back up here. So I'm going to repeat what I said before. Time to do real estate deals could be the highest rate of return for most of our listeners today. But what we're about to do here today, while we're together, is much bigger than just eking out an extra hour here and there. We are going to drastically, that's a very intended word, re-engineer your entire relationship with time in real estate investing. Just listening to us and thinking about what we're going to cover is a big step in the right direction. I'm not even saying that you have to do anything at this point, but just listening to the concepts and listening to what we're going to do is going to be a big step.
Well, just realizing that that's a thing. I mean, a lot of times you don't know that there's a thing, and you say, "Well, I don't have time," blah blah blah, and it just ends. So there's no electricity in the world, and some guy comes with electricity one day. Oh, we didn't know that you could have that. So maybe people don't know they could organize or whatever you're going to talk about because you haven't. I don't know what it is yet. I'll find out with everybody else. But seriously, just the last few weeks have helped me a lot. So I'm closer to where I need to be.
Perfect.
That's good. Yeah.
With that said, you walked right into the next paragraph.
And that wasn't scripted. That wasn't scripted.
Awareness helps a lot when you're doing something new or different. Awareness helps a lot. There's a reason you can't find a wall clock in a casino to save your life.
Oh, really? Yeah. Never noticed that.
The casino is stealing your money. And they don't want you to be aware of the time passing.
That's funny. Where'd you get that?
It's true.
Yeah, I never noticed that.
I think Dan Kennedy.
Yeah, somebody said that. Yeah.
But think about it.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know if it's night or day or morning or they.
Yeah, there's no windows. You can't see out.
The only thing that can tell time in a casino is your stomach. Yeah. When you get hungry. And by the way, you go get that and come back.
Yeah. That's why I do it. Put the money in, make a few bucks, go get buffet.
It's also the reason why they have smoking and non-smoking casinos, because they don't want you to go outside and smoke, because then you'll see what the daylight is.
Wow, man.
They got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that tells you something very, very useful right there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be aware at all times. Otherwise, things you don't want to have happen will happen.
Mm.
Beyond simple awareness, there are practical, beyond simple awareness, there are practical strategies, methods, procedures, and tools that the busiest and most pressured real estate investors can use to crowbar some breathing room into their schedule, and force the universe to help him make more deals. Should I read that again?
I got it.
Okay. In this podcast, I will give you mine, what works for me and many of my students. You, I hope, will undoubtedly be interested in what we have to say today. Just realize you can start slow and ease into all of these concepts that we're going to give you today. You don't have to go in there full boat. Okay?
You're much more likely to succeed if you just take a step
Correct.
than another step. Don't go, I can't do all that.
Yep.
Do something.
All right. So now it's time to get to work. Okay?
Go for it.
Enough of the hype.
Go for it.
On podcast number 182 and 183, and this is 185. I think they're podcast 180.
83, 84, 85? It was the last two before this, no?
Yeah, let me look.
Yeah, you've been on a theme, right?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. So it's podcast number 183 and 184. I wrote that wrong. Mm-hmm. On podcast number 183 and 184, I introduced my time formula to help clarify how you should spend your allocated hours. That's an important thing. Allocated hours each week working on real estate. And because I have piqued so much interest with this formula, I'm going to break it down today for you so it's nice and easy for you to use it. So in other words, it's one thing to tell you, here's the formula, but what do you do in each section of the formula? Okay?
Yep.
So first, let's cover the formula in case somebody hasn't listened to episode 183 or 184. It goes like this. Whatever your time is allocated, whether it's 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, you designate that. Okay? The hardest one, nobody believes, but it's true. 5% of your time is for education. New or review. Because even I do it. I still review. We still go to seminars. We still do things to make sure that I'm on top of it. Right? And I still, you see it because you're with me. I'm like a sponge. It's like the stuff that I get. And oh yeah, by the way, when you review like that, the simple datums that you didn't really believe, now that you've done it, become very, very, very powerful.
Or they become more realistic when you at least have it in your head and you've been walking around looking at things and you see those ideas actually matching in the real world, and you read it again, and it means more to you.
Right.
It didn't jump off the page before, but a few times through, the pieces really do fit together better.
Correct. So 5% of your time is for education, new or review. 40% of your time is for locating new clients. 15% of your time is for pre-screening. 25% of your time is for constructing and making offers. 5% of your time is for follow-up, which, by the way, is about 35% of the houses you're going to buy are from follow-up. Okay? Follow-up also means building relationships. So follow-up and building relationships are synonymous in my head.
Right. 'Cause I think you said the other day there's somebody you were talking to, and you'd call back and check in on them, how things are going, and nothing may have happened, but you check back another month or two, like things changed, and all of a sudden you might be ready to sell the house.
Time changes everything.
But you stay in touch, and maybe even help him with the phone call in the middle there. He asks a question, maybe you can help him, so he likes you enough to talk to you, or pick up the damn phone next time you call instead of there's that jerk. No. So you have to be helpful.
Yep. Time changes everything.
Actually helpful, not just see where can I make some money. If you help enough people, you might make money.
Time changes everything.
Time changes everything.
Thank you, Peter. Last one. 10% of your time is for selling quickly. So let's rattle through it again. 5% is for education. 40% is locating new clients. 15% is for pre-screening. 25% is for constructing and making offers. 5% is for follow-up. And 10% is for selling quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a couple very important things that you should note here. The first thing is, forget about the percentages for a second, but I just rattled through the steps of a deal.
Well, that is a sequence, isn't it?
Yeah. Second thing is in the beginning, which we're going to talk about this. Actually, we're not going to talk about that now. So we're going to do that in a minute. If you were working a 20-hour work week for real estate, the numbers would break down like this. 5% of your time for education would be an hour a week. 40% of your time locating new customers would be 8 hours a week. 15% of pre-screening would be 3 hours a week. 25% of constructing and making offers would be 5 hours a week. 5% of follow-up would be 1 hour a week. And 10% for selling quickly would be 2 hours a week. Now, obviously, if you have 10 hours a week, which you can do, but just realize the least amount of hours you put in. You could put in 5 hours a week. It just means that the runway for getting a deal just gets pushed longer and longer.
Yeah, I bet it's like multiple too, not just twice as much, maybe 4 times as much. If it's just I think it ramps up much better if you just put the time in.
Right. If you do it intensively, then it will bear better results.
Yeah.
Right.
That'll have to keep going too.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, it's the reacclimation each week. Because if you're, well, let me give you an example. So, 5% of your time is for education. Now you only have a half hour a week instead of an hour. Right. 40% of your time locating new clients is 4 hours a week, not 8.
Sure.
Okay. So 15% of your time for pre-screening is 1.5 hours instead of 3. So that's a perfect example. Pre-screening. If you're pre-screening, it's like you got to fumble through all your stuff. It might take you 20 minutes just to acclimate yourself.
Sure, just getting or situated.
Yeah.
Sure. Where's the book? Where's my glasses?
25% of your time for constructing, making offers is at 10 hours a week is 2.5 hours, where at 20 hours a week is 5 hours. Now, you
say
could.
It again?
Yep.
Say that again?
25% of your time is for constructing offers.
Yeah.
At 10 hours is 2.5 hours.
Okay.
At 20 hours, it's 5 hours.
Good.
Right? So the point is at 2.5 hours a week making offers. So that includes, when I say making offers, that includes going out to people's houses.
Oh, sure. Not just, So it takes kind of 2.5 hours to do one.
And I really struggled that when I made up when I put these numbers together, because I was wondering if 40% of the time should be making offers and 25% should be looking for sellers, and I still struggle with that.
Well, doesn't it work itself out in terms of like if somebody sat there and did 5 hours of looking for sellers and had two appointments, go do the 2 appointments. You wouldn't say, well, I can't afford it this week, it's not my schedule. You would go do them, wouldn't you?
Right.
And if it took you 8 hours to get one, you got to do the 8 hours to get the one, though.
Right. So we're going to talk about this because this is if you have an entire machine in place. In the beginning, you're not going to.
And you're not that good in the beginning either.
Right.
So it depends a little bit on how good you are on the phone. You'll get more results.
You can move because obviously, and we're going to talk about this, but obviously if you don't have a house to sell, you could take those 2 hours and put them into education or put them into making deal offers. Right? But the point is this is the ideal scene.
Yeah.
This is what you should thrive for. This is what's going to get you multiple houses and replace your income. Okay. So let's start off with education. Only because most new investors do nothing but. Now, we did this last night at the meetup. How many hours do you work in real estate? 6 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours. And
you asked the people around the room how much time they spend.
yeah, on education.
It was almost all of it, right?
Yeah.
Almost the whole time.
100% of their time is devoted to this. Most new investors.
Yeah.
And they think this is needed. These limited beliefs, as we spoke about last night, which, by the way, if you want to see the meetup from last night, which I think you should watch, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top of the page, it says courses, and there's one that says ERIEM, ERIEM, I think it is.
REIM.
REIM, yeah. Okay.
Real Estate Investors Meeting?
Meeting, yeah.
Okay.
You would think that I would have invented that, huh? I did. I came up with that, but I can't remember. So you could also do flippinghousesforrookies.com/ERIEM, and they're all there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's electronic.
We videotape that.
Yeah. So electronic meeting.
Yeah.
Thing.
Electronic. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Electronic real estate investment meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened is that I talked about limited beliefs holding you back. Right? And we actually did a drill where I gave away a $50 bill. Right? And it was pretty interesting. I mean, what did you think of it? You had no idea I was going to do that, but
I heard somebody speak once. They pointed out that if you stood on the street and handed out dollar bills, people wouldn't take them. They just no. They just think something's wrong.
Right.
Try it. Just take a bunch of dollar bills and just stand there, and people look at you. They just can't believe it. Right. So you held up a 50, and that was worse.
Right. So beliefs are what's holding most people back. It's limited beliefs. They're not enabling beliefs.
Yeah.
They're not like pushing you forward.
Yeah.
Right. So if you believe something, there's no stopping you. Right. So I wrote an email this morning. I think it was called to my email list, which if you're not on there, you should get on there. If you just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, just download any one of my products there, either watch a video and you'll get on my email list. Okay. So, I think this morning's email, I just wrote it too. I think it was it's syncing up logic in your heart for real estate.
Logic and your heart.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And what I spoke about in the email was that you have beliefs, right? And beliefs are like, if you're going to talk about motion, it would be like the car or the vehicle in which something travels. Okay, but the question is what's the fuel? How do you make it move?
Right.
So what makes it move is your heart and your passion.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the activity that gets it going. So the activity or the motion is the grease for the whole engine, for the whole machine. Right? So, and we're going to talk about this in a couple minutes. So if you have these limited beliefs, it's like there's invisible 100-foot walls around you blocking you from success. And you'll ask, what's holding me back?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, at first you'll not be selling a house. Right? Have follow-up. Need to do pre-screening, like I was just talking about. Maybe at first you won't even have offers. So all this time in the beginning, you can use it to get education. Here's the problem. Most don't get out of this phase. And they don't move on. Or cut down the time so they can do other tasks. So the way I train you in real estate, okay, you can learn enough in a couple of weeks. So my philosophy is in the beginning when you educate, so if you're going to take all this time, like your 20 hours, or we'll say 15 out of the 20 hours, okay, because you should go apply some of the stuff. You can definitely do that for a couple of weeks until you get some basic ideas of what you should be doing, right? Now, the big test on what you should be learning is this. And this is huge. This is where you and I know this is true. I think, and I'm being arrogant, but I think I'm doing a better job of explaining it. If you can't learn and if you can't learn it and do it in about 2 weeks, don't do it. So Emma doesn't know this.
You mean like one step of something?
Nope.
A whole thing?
Watch. So if Emma doesn't know this, but well, she knows this part. She knows that I'm a internet junkie. I mean, I buy shit that I don't need to be buying. I could probably save way too much money, and it's more than $1,000. It probably has 5 figures attached to it. I could save that much a year if I just didn't buy crap. I buy public label rights, I buy education, I buy videos, and I'll spend $1,000 on something and then watch 3 videos and get what I want and then never go back. Sometimes I devour it. But I have a rule, and my rule is if I can buy this and attempt to implement it in 2 weeks, then I'll do it. If I don't have the time in the next 2 weeks to do it, I won't buy it. Okay. Now that's for internet stuff. So my point here is that if you can't learn it and do it in about 2 weeks, here's the reason why. Okay. You're studying something that is taught incorrectly. So the format that you're learning it from it's too confusing, it's dispersed, you're spending too much attention on getting the data delivered to you because the person that laid it out has it misorganized. Or it's not data that pertains to what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, as an educator, I know that there's a point where somebody who's really knowledgeable in the field will tell you the whole thing. Look at all the things I know. When that's what school is like. You go there for years before you get a job, right?
Right.
While you're talking, this came to mind that I talk to people I know. I'm in school. He's 35 years old. He's in school. Like, when are you going to start? But you go for years before you do anything.
Right.
Or there's some programs where you study a little bit and you go do some work. You study a little bit and you do some work.
So that's called an apprenticeship or an internship.
That's right.
And it's done on gradients.
That's right.
Right. So you go up, you get to the second floor of your house one step at a time. You don't go to the top stair. Right. So if you can't absorb something in 2 weeks, and I'm not talking about the whole thing, I'm talking about a specific piece of it. Okay. There's something wrong with the way it's being taught.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing to look out. The second thing, because there's only 2 things that will stop you from absorbing something in a couple weeks, as far as I'm concerned. Second thing is you have a misunderstanding. And you can't apply what's taught from the materials if you had a misunderstanding. Now, here's the problem. Number 2 gets fixed by finding a better mentor with desired results from others. I'm sorry. I did that wrong. Number 1 gets fixed by finding another mentor. Okay, so I sorry, I said the wrong number there. So the first one is you're studying something by
and it's a mess.
And it's a mess.
Well, that's how I got to you,
Right.
because I'm studying this stuff, and he says you need this and this and this and this and this. You got to do this. You got to do this. I couldn't even get started.
Right.
That's when I called you.
So Ron LeGrand is a perfect example of this. So I'm not bashing Ron LeGrand. I'm just telling you because I hear a lot of people say it. So he has his Gold Club for $59 a month.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of stuff in there.
I went to
an amazing amount of stuff in there.
Yeah, I went to the list though. There was a list of videos, went straight down the page. I didn't know where to start.
Right.
It wasn't organized. Like, here's all my videos. Like,
so what's important, what's not important.
Yeah.
So what's happening is you're asking your students that don't know what they're doing to figure out what's
to decide
important.
where they should start.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's one thing I do know is when you don't understand something, you do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when you go onto that page, if you don't understand it, you do nothing.
Nope.
Okay.
The end.
So number one, the only way you fix that is to find a better mentor with the desired results you're looking for. Usually you get that from others.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, and I'm not trying to get you to be me to be your mentor, but like last night at the meetup, I mean, we got a bunch of testimonials, and they are like they're like almost written from the same person.
I just read the batch. It's like, I guess we're at the same meeting.
Yeah, because it's like they talk about my integrity, my honesty, my no BS approach, and how much they learned in a free meeting. They can't believe how much they learned in a free meeting, and the steps of the process.
Right, but also there was an aspect where you have it weeded down to this is what you need to know and this is what you need to do instead of all that stuff that can be thrown around out there. And I think the simplicity of it is real estate. Nobody invented real estate. It's there.
Right.
And some of the techniques got figured out somehow by people. They do this, they do that, they lease, they buy, they rent, whatever.
There are people ahead of us that figured it out.
Right. So it's how you deliver it.
Right.
And your education approach and your background, the work you put into learning how to present things makes a difference. It makes a big difference.
All right, good. So number two, you have a misunderstanding and you can't apply the taught material. Here's the deal. You can get this fixed very easily if you were to buy Sean Cloudon's book called The Power of Words, right? Mm-hmm. It's $24 on Amazon. Now, here's my point. I know Sean Cloudon's father, I know him.
Yeah,
but it's not like we talk every week. I mean, I see him maybe once a year. In fact, I haven't even seen him in a couple of years.
I've read some of his things.
My wife knows him more than
He's
I
a
do.
smart guy.
Right?
He's a successful guy.
So if you have trouble understanding something, here's the thing is, you don't know you have a misunderstanding.
That's why it's called misunderstanding. You missed.
Right.
You think you know and you don't know, but you don't realize it, so you miss.
That's a good point.
Right? It's miss.
So
you missed it.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this. If you've ever read a book and gotten to the bottom of the page and can't remember what you just read, this book that Sean Cloudon is for you. It was written for you. Mm-hmm. If you ever get to the bottom of a page and you're like foggy, or here's another one. How about when you're reading and you start yawning and you go to sleep? Mm-hmm. That's an indication, a manifestation of a word that was misunderstood or a concept that was misunderstood.
Yeah.
So go do yourself a favor. If that's you, go buy Sean Cloudon's book, The Power of Words, and it could be fixed, because that is your core problem of why you're not doing real estate, because you can't apply things you don't understand. If you're confused, application goes out the window.
You can't. How could you?
Right?
So that's kind of another point too. Like if you're studying something and you find it's too hard to do, and I don't understand this, and it's obvious that you don't know how to do it, you still think you know all about it, but you still can't do it. Well, something's got to be wrong, and that's in this bucket too.
What happens is you tend to blame something else.
Yeah. And
blame is assigning responsibility somewhere else except for you. Yeah. And the truth of it is you're the one that's supposed to be absorbing it, not anybody else. So if there's a confusion, it's you, it's not somebody else.
I've got students that are studying, whether even music or anything that I've taught. They go, this doesn't make sense. This book is wrong. Yeah. Hang on, that's a book written by a guy. Who the heck are you?
Right.
It doesn't mean the book's perfect. I find mistakes in books, but likely, why don't you read it again?
Right.
Why don't you go fix the words?
So when you're studying, it's important to make sure that things are in sequence, and you do one step at a time. So my concept here is this. The only thing you need to learn is the next step. And then once you accomplish that, then it's the next step. And fortunately, real estate allows you to do that. Because real estate isn't like, oh, it's a sales cycle, and you need to sit in front of somebody, and you only have an hour to make your money, or you don't make it.
Yeah.
Right? That's a whole different industry.
Mm-hmm.
In real estate, you can take your time, and you could figure things out in between.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, for example, I could talk to somebody on the phone, and I'll give you a classic example. Today is Thursday. On Tuesday, I spoke to a guy that has a 3-family house in New Haven, and he wants, blah, 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 and this is the rent, and he gave me all the stuff. He's 75 years old, and I said to him, here's the deal. I'm busy. I'm going to go look at it on Thursday. This was on Tuesday, and I will call you by the end of the week to let you know if I will give you an offer.
Mm.
Okay? And he's like, perfect. That's what I want. But when I call you back, here's what's going to happen. I'm either in or I'm out. Would you be willing to do financing for me? Yes, I'll do financing for 5 years.
Mm.
I don't want a 30-year mortgage. Okay, that's fine. So if I drive by the house and I like what I see, I'm going to call you back and we're going to talk about the financing and we're going to see if we can put a deal together. And the good thing is that when we get done with that conversation, we're either going to go further or we're going to stop. You know why I can say that? Because that's my next step. I'm going to accomplish my next step. So if you don't know how to make an offer with someone, how much time did you just inject into the deal so that you can go figure it out? Mm. Minimally, send me a support ticket and I'll say, go do this. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it that you got to educate yourself on? Mm. Do you want to take my 18 years worth of experience and try to learn it in a day? How does that work?
Sure. Well, what else is good about this? This is my, quote, rookie approach. When you're sitting trying to learn this business, it's overwhelming.
Right.
So
unless you do the next step.
If you just focus on, well, maybe you can just learn this one thing. Just put your attention on learning the first piece of this. And then just concentrate on that. You can confront that. You can spend the time doing that part and win.
Right.
That's it.
All right. So enough of that. So we're going to still talk about that, but here's what you should do when you're educating yourself. I made a little checklist, okay?
Yeah.
So you don't need to study the whole subject like what we're talking about, right? You just need to do the next step, which is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So the only way you're going to learn is by doing it. The only way you're going to learn anything is by doing it. At first, you need to learn how to find new sellers, right? Once you start doing that, you'll do most of your learning while doing it, right? So once you have a little bit of experience, you will get focused on what you need to learn so you master the next step. Once you get moving on finding the sellers, you'll move into educating yourself on how to pre-screen. Then quickly start doing it. Once you start doing, pre-screening, you will now, you'll know exactly what to study. Not all the things you don't need to know. Right? See, how it works, the next step is all you need to pay attention to. And educate or research is just enough to get you into action. You will learn how to do it. So suppose I decide I want to start learning how to find new sellers.
Yeah.
And I hit a barrier or a stop or some confusion. If I just focus, laser point myself on that thing, like I tripped on a stone. Okay? So the next time, now I need to go figure out how not to trip on a stone or what to do if I do trip on a stone. I go spend my half an hour or hour on how to not trip on a stone. What's the specific answer for that problem? Once I get the answer, what do? I go right back into doing it and apply it to see if it works. Now, is it going to be the best answer? Are there going to be better answers? Possibly. But here's the thing. The only thing education needs to do, there's only one thing that education needs to do. And it needs to be able to get you to apply it. Education only means application. So education equals application. Doesn't mean memory, doesn't mean a test, doesn't mean any of that, doesn't mean a PhD, doesn't mean that. That's all well and good for the universities that, by the way, charge 40 grand plus a year to give you this. They tell you that you have to have a 4-year degree and a 10-year degree. Well, you know what? I agree with all that. If you want to be a lawyer, then you need that. If you want to be a dentist, then you need that. If you want to be a doctor, then you need that. But you don't need that for literal arts. You know, I think that's the thing.
Liberal arts.
Liberal arts. Yeah. You know, you don't need to spend 4 years learning about how to sell a house. You know what I mean? It's already been done. There's a lot of people ahead of us, like myself. I mean, I barely graduated from high school. Right? And I'm not proud of that. But I'm telling you, I spent a lot of time studying since then. I mean, you're around me. You know how much I read. Just come into my house and look at all the books. And I read them.
Bill, I went to a year of business school before I switched to music school. I didn't learn anything.
Yep.
I'm serious.
Yep.
Not one thing helps me in my current life, my business, not a thing. Zero.
And it's not that I'm here on a bash fest for that, but honestly, if you're like me and you have employees and you have to make payroll by Friday, you don't have time for a Yale education. You need to get some cash in the bank. So my suggestion is you do something because your necessity level got up high enough that you had to get into action and you had to get uncomfortable in your own skin, which is a whole thing in itself. And if you can't get past that, which is your limiting beliefs, then you aren't going to make it.
How are you going to grow otherwise?
You're not going to do anything in life.
I mean, growing pains, hello.
You're going to go through life barely a middle-class person and expect that to be okay and have it perpetuate in the future for you. Because here's the thing. At the end of it all, we're humans. And at the end of it all, our bodies wear out. Just like a car with 100,000 or 200,000 miles or 500,000 miles on it. After a while, it's just used and abused. And our bodies are the same way. Okay? Because it's just the way they're made. Bodies are made that way. Right? So if you like, just like your car, so if you don't take care of your car and it gets 100,000 miles on it, it starts letting you down. And then it has 200,000 miles and it starts letting you down even more. Sooner or later, the car will stop running. Unless you're one of those people that gets their oil changed every 3,000 miles and they put the tires on it, windshield, and they take care of the car. Not obsess about it, but just do regular maintenance things once in a while, right? Then the car will last 500,000 miles because it's been maintained, right? So your education is this way. You do a little oil change here, you do a little bit there, and you will build enough assets so that when you get older, those things will keep running. Those assets will keep running. I mean, it's like every real estate deal is like a vehicle. It's like another child. It's like they need to be nurtured just enough. There is no such thing as set it and forget it. I mean, it's a cute little saying, and I even say it with some of my properties, but even like I'm closing on a deal right now that I bought 2 years ago, and I set it and forget it 2 years ago. Well, what that means is that I don't have to go over there and bang on the door and collect the rent. The check shows up every single month. I still have to make a deposit slip, go to the bank. I still have to make the mortgage payment. I still have to take care of the water bill. I still have to take care of the insurance. But the point is that for $300 a month, which is my profit, $290 a month, I worked maybe a half an hour.
Yeah.
So what it does is it reduces the amount of work that you have to do. And it makes it so your dollar per hour is increased. So your rate of return is higher. And that's what real estate does. So you're not going to just set it and forget it, which I guess you could do even if you hire a management company. You're still going to have to manage the management company, right? So you can't just go to Tahiti and forget about everything. Somebody has to take care of it. And I'm saying that facetiously, but yeah, you can hire a manager or somebody to run your business and go to Tahiti, but you're still going to have to make a phone call once a week or once a month and say, or come back in 3 months. I mean, it's just not going to be nothing.
No, the buck does not. The buck does not
minimum
stop
you're
at
going to
that
get
guy.
your check and you're going to have to go deposit it. You're going to have to at least check on things. So it's not, you know what I mean? So yeah, you could do less and less. The more layers you put in and the more people you pay and the more, the less profit you take. You could do all that. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make here is that, which is way too, I've gone way too far down this rabbit hole. Those are all nice dreams, but you got to start with one step. When you were a baby, you started by crawling, and then you stood up and you got your balance, and then you put 1 foot and you tested that, and then you did another foot and you tested that. That is learning. You fell down and you maybe even cried and hurt yourself, but you got back up and you're still walking today, right? Mm-hmm. So the point is that you can't give up, right? And you don't need to learn the whole thing, right? So, Pete.
Yes,
I
Bill.
know that we're really rattling some of those cages of the analysis of paralysis folks. I mean, if we take away their 40 hours a week of, I got to get it, I got to learn this, what are they going to do? Right? Or how about the scaredy cats who think that they need to know everything before they can start doing it? What are they going to do? So we've just pulled the curtain back of the Wizard of Oz, and we found out that he's not this big, tall, mean creature, that he's a little midget, and he's like a little scaredy cat back there trying to put his show on the Wizard of Oz. Right? Here's the message to these critters. If you find a motivated seller, and I say if, because if you don't try, you may not. So I'm going to change that to when you find a motivated seller.
Can we make it when?
Yeah, when you find a motivated seller, they don't care if you make mistakes. They just want the deal done. So they're not going to critique you on your education. You can pretty much tell them, this is my first deal and I might screw it up, but here's my idea. And if they like the idea, they're going to plunge in the pond with you and swim around for a while as long as you keep performing. Doesn't mean that you can't make mistakes. How do you think I learned? I told people, I was saying last night at the meetup, I wish I could go back sometimes. And I say wish, I don't want to make this wish too strong, but actually, let me rephrase that. Not that I wish I can go back. The advantage that most of you have over me is huge, because you can say to people, oh, this is my first deal, or I've just started, or I'm new. And they will help you. These people that are motivated, that know what they want. And if you state it clearly enough, and you don't need to spend a year or two or get a Yale education to learn how to do this, all you have to do is something as simple as this. Ready? Pete, after I text you and say, is your house still for sale?
Yeah.
You say yes.
Yes.
And then I say, are you the owner?
Yes.
And you say yes. It's as simple as, okay, would you be willing to lease the house or rent it to me for a year or two and then sell it to me? How long does it take to learn how to say that?
Well, if you text it just once and repeat.
Right?
Yeah. I realized when you were talking about the motivated seller, I thought back to the guy I worked with the first time. And I got to tell you guys, if somebody's not motivated, they'll be skeptical of you. They won't want you to buy the house probably. They won't like you maybe. They'll push back. When somebody is motivated, they want you to buy the house. They're hoping you're the guy that can do it. Get the difference. They're hoping.
So I totally got that, and I have not shared this with you, but I'm going to tell you that I have a new definition of a motivated seller.
Huh.
And I've made a lot of them.
Yeah. What's the next? What's the latest, Bill?
This is the simplest.
Yeah.
You know what a motivated seller is? Someone who doesn't stop you. They're not trying to stop you.
Every question I said to this guy, he goes, yes. And I can't make payments for 2 months. Okay. And I'm no interest on the payments. Okay. Everything like, yup. And I said, Bill, something's wrong here. This guy's saying yes to everything.
Yeah, that was
there's no stop.
We even went to the restaurant or to the
we're at the Dunkin'
joint,
Donuts at the table,
and you sit down and you're like,
I'm pitching.
I'm like, Pete. I looked right at him, right in front of the customer.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Pete, stop.
Stop talking.
Stop.
He's ready for an offer and he's ready to do a deal. I look at the seller and I said to him, "Are you ready to do this?" He goes, "Yep."
Yeah.
Good. Here's what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3.
You
And
don't
he's like, okay.
You don't
And we
believe
did
it. When 30 people have told you to go drop dead or just no thank you and click, when the guy says yes, like,
So
what?
a suspect
What?
then is the more stops they have, the more barriers they put up, the more they are a suspect.
Yep.
So the least amount of stops, which by the way, they could a prospect could have some stops
They'll
or
have
some confusions,
They'll have some concerns,
but they correct quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. We did a lot on that. We're just on education. We still need to do the rest.
Tune in next
steps.
week when.
So pre-screening.
Well, wait a
Is the
minute.
next step down.
No. Looking for sellers
Yeah. So,
after education.
yep. Oh, I skipped that one.
Yeah. Sellers.
So I'll do it on the fly.
Oh, okay. You didn't write that one.
didn't
Okay.
write that one down.
Sellers.
I think the reason why is because I feel like we've talked about it enough. But honestly, how hard is it to go onto Zillow, find a house that's for sale, scroll down to the bottom of the screen, okay? Because they just changed it. On the right side is the bottom of the screen. And it says the person that listed this property. It's all the way down at the bottom of the screen, past all the realtors,
Not the real
ads,
agents.
all this stuff.
Nope.
Bottom of the screen. And if it says, so-and-so realtor, because if they're realtors, they have to put their realtor name. They have to present themselves. Then you probably don't want to call that one. But if it's just a person's name and a phone number, the likelihood of that being a cell phone is very high. You text them. Which I just told you. The first question
so
is,
you kind of you fell into this next step was
is
those
1,
questions.
2, 3 Main Street still for sale? The second text to them would be, are you the owner? And then the third text would be, would you be willing to rent to me or lease to me for a year or two, and then I buy it? If they say yes, then you go on to the next step. You call them. Now, pre-screening is done with the prospect-suspect form. Okay? So once you have the seller who is willing to let you make payments until you can pay them off, or take a deep cash discount, your pre-screening's done. Now, how much education do you need for that?
It's a form. You fill out the answers. Ask the question. Fill it in.
So the script is the form. Like you start at the top of the form after their name. It says how much you asking for the house on the top right hand side. How much do you think it estimates? What's the estimation? Have you ever had it estimated?
Yeah. What's the estimated value?
Yeah. And then you just go down as whose name is on the deed. So you make sure you're talking to the right person. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Does it have a garage? How do you heat it? You go right down the form. And it literally takes less than 10 minutes if you do it correctly. Okay? When you get all done, you're going to have all the numbers, and you're going to do the second part of pre-qualifying. Okay? Which is check your comps and your math to make sure you can sell the house easily. The only reason why we want comps, is to make sure we can sell it.
Sure.
That's the only reason why.
Sure.
We don't care about anything else. We don't care about what it's worth, what it's not worth. What will it sell for? And when I mean sell for, it means someone will, it'll attract buyers, number one, because you don't want to sell a $600,000 house. I mean, a $200,000 house for $600,000. Because the only reason a house doesn't sell is because it's too much money or it's dysfunctional, one or the other. So you don't want to, scare people off with too high of a price. Also, when you get your tenant buyer in there, you're going to want to make sure they get qualified for a mortgage, and the bank will give them enough money. So you don't want to buy a house that's worth $200,000 and pay $200,000 and stay in the deal for 2 years and not get anything back. Okay. Now, you could still buy a house for $200,000 and sell it for $200,000 or $210,000 and make $10,000, but you don't stay in the deal. So the amount of time you're in the deal is minimal, so that your rate of return on your time is higher. Okay, so this is why when you're doing pre-qualifying, you're checking this to see how much time can I spend on a deal. Because when I hear pre-qualifying, that's what I look at.
Yeah.
When I see it in my mind, it's like, how much time am I going to spend on this? It's not, can I make a deal? Can I not make a deal? It's how much time. If I have a motivated seller in front of me that is willing to let me make payments until I can pay them off, I'm just looking at the math to say, how much time do I have to spend on this? How much time can I spend on this deal? And how much am I going to make?
Yeah.
That's the pre-qualifying process. If I buy a $200,000 house for $27,500, which we've done, right? How much time can I spend on that deal?
Little more.
Okay.
It's worth it.
If I'm going to buy a like I just bought last week, I just bought a $190,000 house that's worth $190,000. But my monthly payments are $997 a month, and I could get probably $1,600 or $1,700. Not probably. I'm advertising for $1,700, I think.
Yeah.
So I get $700 a month. How much time can I put into that? I sell it for $209, so I got $20,000 in the back end, and I got $600 or $700 a month every month. How much time can I put into that deal every month? Well, I'm willing to put in an hour or two here and there. Right? Because I'm getting paid for it. My rate of return for my time is giving it back. And if I get deals that the rate of return is not that good, then I can't generate new business. Right? So you have to protect and get rid of the noise on thwarting the new business, because that's what lacks all the time. Education and all these problems that you're facing are just thwarting getting new business. Because that's what suffers first. Go to any business, and when they get into some sort of a state of emergency with business, in other words, money short, what's the first two things that get cut? The marketing budget, number one, and then overtime or payroll hours, because those are usually the two most expensive things that people spend on businesses.
That you could cut. You can't cut back on the rent or taxes.
Well, you could, but it's harder to do.
Yeah, if you're in the spot, it's not easy. Right. Hey, can I pay less? No.
You're not going to cut the rent by Friday, but you can cut the advertising. That $1,000 check you're going to give your marketer, or you can cut payroll back for next week, right? So those are the first things. So that's the lazy man's way of solving his problem. So when you're economizing, right, you don't cut the promotion down. That's the first thing you need to put in is your promotion, right? So when you're cutting back, the thing that you need to ramp up is, well, when you need money, you don't economize, right? First, you do that, but it's not the first step. The first step is to promote, get out there and find some new sellers. So if you're not making enough money and you're economizing with your real estate business, you're applying the wrong step or the wrong formula to your business, because what you need to do is you need to go find new sellers.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need to talk to more people. You need to reach out further, not pull in. Right? So when you're talking to these people, you have to make sure that you have some sort of a system to be able to weed through them, so you know who to spend your time with and who not to spend your time with. And if you don't do that, like I'm talking about right here, that I'm on a total rant right now, you won't make it, because your time will pass and you'll be driving around with a realtor looking at MLS properties and making offers to banks that could give a flying crap whether you live or die, because they don't care. They have plenty of money, and everything that they sell, if they sell you a house for $180,000, they're making a profit of $180,000. And if you don't believe me, go watch my episode or go read the book Creature from Jekyll Island.
Jekyll Island,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go there, but they're making 100% profit. They could give a flying crap whether you buy that house or not. You think you're buying that house because the bank is stuck with it, right? But that's not true. Okay? Then they could care less whether they sell that house or not. Okay? Whew. Damn. Constructing and making offers.
Okay. How much? What's the percentage here?
25%.
Okay.
Now, this will be hard for the thinker brains. to do a lot of deals, you need to make offers, then qualify.
Then qualify.
So you make the offer before you look at the house. But Bill, how do you do that? This way. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Make offers on pretty houses. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a lot of closings. Hundreds of them. Maybe not hundreds. Because I've done hundreds of deals. I don't go to all the closings. But I've orchestrated hundreds of closings.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I know. The house does not come to the closing and sign the paperwork. People do. I'm not looking for houses. I'm looking for people that have houses as a problem. And I'm going to go to them before I'm going to go buy a house. So while you're driving around looking for the ugliest house in the prettiest neighborhood, that is uneducated. That's dumb money. That's not an education in real estate. That's laziness because you didn't figure out how to really do a deal. What you need is a motivated seller. Someone that's going to show up at a closing and relinquish their control of that property so you can now put it under your control and you can then get paid for that. Whether it be a passing of the deed or passing of the control, which is an option in a lease.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, you don't need to have a closing for that. That's just a matter of going to their house, stinking like a cigar, with a cup of coffee and a few documents, and you sign a piece of paper or a few documents, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, if I were to make an offer, like via our offer pack, you know, I text someone, I talk to them on the phone, they're willing to take payments until I pay it off. I send them a lease with an option agreement or just an option agreement via the internet, you know, like with DocuSign or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they sign the lease or they sign the option agreement or they sign both based on our conversation on the call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I now have the ability to use that lease in their option. And I go out to the house and it's not as they described. What happens? We renegotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Or I say, you misrepresented, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what happened. If you do what I'm telling you right now, there's one little clause that I've not said before that can put to ease all of those fear-mongerers out there. This is what you could do. Okay? You draft the lease and you draft the option and you send it to them electronically without your signature. You have the seller sign it first. And you tell him, if you want to, you don't have to do this, but if you want to, you tell him or her that once you view the house, you'll sign the document and give it to them when you're at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you lost? I mean, like...
You got an extra step done on the phone or on the internet without even being there.
But they've signed the agreement and they're ready to go. So you drafted an option and you drafted a lease and you sent it to them and said, sign this, and then I'm going to come out and inspect it, and once I inspect it, we'll sign the other portion. I don't have to do that because I'm like, I get out there, if I sign the document, it's like, I'm ripping it up. This house sucks. Right? I mean, that's just me, but we already know I have an abrasive personality, so... But not everybody's going to be like that. Emma wouldn't do that. Emma probably won't even, I mean, she won't get on the phone and even talk to them. She'll do it all through text, right? That's the way some people are. It's the way the world is, right? So my point is if you make the offer and they sign it and send it back to you, and it's up to you to go out and look at the deal, so you make the offer first, then you qualify. It's just another pre-screening step. Okay? That's how you make a lot of deals. Now, you can go on the internet, you can find a house on Zillow, you can call them, you can text them, the 3 texts that we said, you get on the phone with them, and you do the prospect suspect form. And then you send them a few offers. Send them a slot, you send them a cash deal, a lease option deal, and a slot deal. And if you want to know how to go do that, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. /free stuff, and you can download the prospect form from there. You can download the lease option explain form, which you can attach to your offers, and you can watch how I make all those 3 offers. There's videos there. It's all for free. And by the way, you can do that on a Sunday afternoon at the amount of time that you watched last week's football game.
Yeah.
Okay? You can learn all of that in that amount of time.
Or played the football video game.
Right.
At the end of which you don't win anything, really. But if you do this, maybe you win some cash.
Exactly. So, under this criteria that we're talking about at the 25% making offers, you got 5 hours to make offers. That means that I really expect you to make 5 offers this way.
So,
because you don't need to go out and look at the house.
If you go to the house, it could be 2.5 hours just to get there to the thing and get home.
Right.
But if you do this 1 hour,
right,
just by electronically on the phone,
right,
and then go see one,
right,
okay.
So by the time you get in the house, you're pretty certain that you're going to do a deal. You're just going there. You're going for the deal meeting. You're going there to get documents signed, approve.
Mm-hmm.
Right. By the way, just a note here. A majority of this could be done by a virtual assistant. You don't need to do all this stuff we're talking about. You could just do the offer part. And oh yeah, by the way, you don't even need to leave your desk. You could do this in other states. Because if you got somebody boots on the ground, like maybe a realtor or a family member, or like me, I have coaching clients that have boots on the ground. Once I get that document back unsigned, what am I going to do? Call my guy up and say, hey, Joe, I just bought a house on 123 Main Street. Can you go out there and take a look at it and send me pictures and bring the documents so I can sign them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can guess the qualification of the actual house.
So if I make $15,000 and I'm willing to give him some sort of a cut, 25%, 50%, whatever the cut is he willing to go out there and take those pictures? Yeah.
Yep.
Is he willing to put the signs out in the neighborhood? Yeah. Yep. Is he willing to show that house, which we don't even do anymore? We automate that whole thing and actually sign some documents for like 25 or 50% of the deal?
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't have to stay in this ugly, godforsaken, miserable, nasty, liberal Connecticut state that hates landlords.
Don't hold back, Bill.
Hates landlords. Frickin' scumbags that they do to. It's nasty what they do to us here.
Yeah.
Nasty. The laws we have for landlords here is plain old disgusting. It's borderline communism. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. So I can not have to be in Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, we've talked about almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to go into catch up to myself here. Oh, I have one more part of the offer making.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this is making such a drastic change, if you're wondering, because if you've been listening to us for 185 shows, we've been talking about qualifying and then making the offers. Like you qualify them if they're motivated, go out to the house and make the offer. By the way, if you're doing other deals like subject to deals and cash deals, you might still want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm talking about buying pretty houses with a slot deal or a lease option deal so that you just can get going and get the process, do the doingness so you know what the deal is like and figure out what you have to learn and what you don't have to learn. At least get some houses under your belt with very little risk and very little money and get through the process and make $1,500, which, by the way, is it possible that when we're talking to somebody on the phone and they just want to rent the house, they don't want to sell it, that we could actually go find a tenant buyer for them and charge them 1 month's rent to put a buyer in there and make $1,800? Yeah. How hard is that? I mean, think of it this way. What if you showed somebody, if you had one apartment a month that you rented for somebody?
Yeah.
Property managers do it all the time.
Yep.
Right? If you rented a property for someone, one a month, and made $1,500 or $1,800, what would that do to your life?
Every month.
So how many times would you have to show it? 10 times? So you got 10 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And to make an $1,800?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's $100 an hour, isn't it?
It's pretty good. 180.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good.
So that was not. So by making offers first, it cuts through the skepticism. By the time you get ready to go see them, they're just really curious because they like the deal and they're curious and they want to see if you're real.
Yeah, but they don't believe it until they see numbers.
Right. Because a lot of people, the reason why we're changing it is because what happens is when you're on the phone with people, they'll say, well, send me something. Let me look at it. Send me something in writing. Send me an email. Send me something in the mail. Let me look at it. Because you'll tell them, and they just won't grasp it all like you do.
No, it took us a while to figure this out.
Yep.
We don't just listen for 20 minutes and understand the whole process.
Right.
So how can they?
So this is much quicker to get offers accepted than to go qualify first. Okay. So plus, you'll get more offers out this way. Right. I talk about this in podcast number 182. So if you want to figure out how to make an offer, what we're talking about here a little bit more specific, go to actually podcast 183. I'm sorry, 183. And you'll hear how we do that, how we make the offers. Okay. So follow up. Pretty much once a week, you call your 30-day or more leads, 30-day old or more leads. So keep them in a notebook, and here's what you should do. You should keep them in a notebook so it's easy, and there should be 3 tabs. One tab is for your current deals, one tab is for over 30 days, and one tab's for over 90 days. Okay? So what I do is the prospect suspect form is printed. I write on them. I turn the prospect suspect form over and I put notes on the back of it. You need to put bullet points and notes so that you'll remember, because you will not remember all these leads once you start getting a bunch of them. So you just put, notes that will jog your memory, or notes that, things that you talked about. If you're a computer person, you can use CRMs and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, this is the easiest way to get started. Just get a 3-ring binder. On the front of it, ask the questions. On the back of it, put notes. And oh yeah, by the way, always put where you left off and what you promised them next as the last note. So that when you call them back, you're like, oh, I went out and drive by the house like I promised you. Because the quickest way to build rapport with someone is to have your words match your actions. So if you tell someone you're going to go out and look at a house on Thursday and call them at the end of the week, you need to go out and look at the house on Thursday and call them at the end of the week. Because if you do that 2, 3, 4 times, they're going to be like, this guy's trustworthy.
Yeah.
And
if you can't do those things, how are you going to take care of the house, the whole buying procedure?
So the way you're going to buy houses is with certainty. They have to be certain that you're the guy, and the way you build certainty is to have some sort of working relationship with them and trust. And the way you build trust is to inflate or insert this process into your system. Tell them you're going to do something and then go do it. And then reiterate. So I went out and looked at the house like I told you I was going to do it. And then give them something else. I'm going to do this, and then do it, and then call them back and say, okay, so I got the comps like I said I was going to do. And you just do that 3, 4, 5 times, and you're automatically making your credibility increase.
A lot of people don't even do that.
Right. And the skepticism goes away. But it's an implanted thing. It's like you put it in there so that they know, but they don't know. You're actually building it and doing it. It's not very hard. And
you ask them to do the same thing. You give them a few things, and if they don't, then you have somebody that's more of a suspect then.
Yeah. Well, or more importantly, if I'm going to get married to someone, like if I'm going to do a lease option, I'm going to have to pay them every month. I know that they don't keep their word, so I'm going to try to keep as much of the deal in my control, because I know they aren't going to perform.
Yeah.
They're just there saying whatever they think you want to have them say. So a lot of people are like that. They have low confront and they can't handle it. That's what a liar is. A person that lies is someone that's just telling you what they think you want to hear, so they don't have to confront you if you say something bad. So a liar is actually somebody that's pretty cowardless and is telling you things you want to hear, so that he can slither off into the dark and control you from not confronting you. They're kind of like termites. They gnaw away at the foundation until the house falls down, because they can't confront you. Okay, they're kind of tough people. Oh yeah, by the way, in case you're curious, our politicians are all like that. I don't think I know a politician that's not like that. They're pretty strange people. Okay. Clear?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Selling. Last one. So we spend, according to our formula, 1 to 2 hours a week selling a house. Okay. In my particular case, I just put a house up for sale. Emma probably spent, because she's my assistant, she probably spent an hour, maybe 2, barely 2, because she has to go get stuff printed to make the flyer packs. The flyer packs are already done. All we're doing is inserting the local or the current house. I have my houses set up on automatic. We go out and put signs around the neighborhood. We put an ad on some Facebook and some Craigslist ads. And I have a student telling me, which we're going to do today, to use Let Go. They say Let Go is the hottest thing.
Let Go?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is an app. It's kind of like a Craigslist thing. We place the ad, and then we go out and we put a lockbox on the front door, and we let people go in the house. I'm not worried about it because anybody that gets the lockbox code has to call in, and we capture their phone number. We tell them there's cameras and stuff there, even though there's not. But we could technically, if you wanted to, if you're really worried about it, you can get one of the, what is those?
The Ring
doorbell.
Yeah.
Right?
The camera.
You can get a camera, and you can actually see who's going in and out of the house if you're worried about somebody stealing. I've never had any problems with it. That's the way we do it. However, if you don't want to do that, then you can simply do it the old-fashioned way and just have a realtor do it for you. Because if we're going to sell on lease options, then realtors do that all the time. They do rent-to-owns all the time. And you could literally pay a realtor a half a month or a month's rent to actually do that for you. Especially a realtor that doesn't do a lot of deals, and they're looking to turn their license into making their few $1,000s a month, a few $1,000s a year to pay their license. You can get somebody that's not that active that would be willing to do that. Or if you can't do that, then go find a property manager somewhere and have the property manager do it. Especially if you're going to have the property manager manage the property for you for 6 or 8% of the take. So, what are you talking about? $100 a month to have somebody like take care of your property on a $1,500 property? You know what I mean? So what will happen is you can get a property manager in place. They'll not only manage the property for you, like handle all the toilets and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't happen that much. Which, by the way, you're not going to do anyways, because if you sell it, you're going to sell it. They're going to do all the maintenance and everything. So the property manager really doesn't need to do much. So you can cut that number way down. Basically, the property manager could just collect the checks and do the disbursements and all that kind of stuff. They will just, at that point, occupy the property for you. So you could put that on total autopilot. I've just given you 3 ways to do it autopilot in the last minute and a half. I went,
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So it could be done. So here's my question. Why are you spending so much time educating yourself? It's a limited belief. You think you need to know everything before you can start. What you need to know is your next step. You know what your next step is. I've just given you the formula. I've just given you the formula of the amount of time that you need to spend on each one of these things. And if you're unbalanced, here's what you do. Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. We've created, which I forgot to talk about last night at the meetup. We've created, what is it called, Em? The task tracker. Real estate investor task tracker. So here's what you do. You go to flippinghousesforrookies.com /free stuff, or go to the page and click the free stuff link on the top. You download that task tracker. Here's what you do for 1 week. But you're going to do this week because we're going to give you one.
Oh, I stole 2 last night. I saw that.
Oh, you did?
Hell yeah.
So here's what you do. When you're working on real estate, you like punch in and punch out. So you go in there and you write down the date, and then you write down the activity you're doing, and then when you started it and when you stopped it. And at the end of the week, what you're going to do is you're going to add up your hours and then turn it into these percentages we're talking about. And it's all on this real estate investor task tracker. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go for 7 days and track your activity. And that is like me coaching you. It's like a free coaching session that's worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Okay? You just go there, get on flippinghousesforrookies.com /free stuff, get the real estate investor task tracker. Okay. Listen to episode number 183, 184, 185 of this podcast. If you need to rehash why we're doing what we're doing. and look at how your time is being spent. And that will tell you blatantly, stare you in the face, why you are making a lot of money or not making any at all. It's not education. If it is, it's much further down on the list. I'm going to say one more thing before we go off. Obviously, I work at a church. You do too. Well, you don't work there. You used to work there. Mm-hmm. We volunteered a bunch of time. And one thing that I've learned in my life is why somebody does something. And money-motivated people don't live. They don't make it. If you're just money-motivated, if you're just doing something for money, it won't survive. Because as soon as the counter effort or counter intention comes your way, you buckle and you run. You can't take it. You can't take the heat. But if the other battle comes your way and you believe in your purpose and you believe in what you want to do, the sword will swing. It will flail around until you're the only one standing. So what has been found is that duty or purpose or passion is usually why somebody does something. Money comes much later.
You know, it's odd that we talk about real estate and how much money you can make and how to make money, but when you ask at meetups, why are you doing it? People come up with like kind of altruistic reasons that we're not sure they really mean or just sounds good, or we're not sure if they're doing it, but they would like to, but they're saying it, so they're thinking about it.
They want to give to charity. They want to, they want to help other people.
They know it's right. Well, they might not be doing it, but they know it's right. They know they should, and maybe they'll get to it, or if they're not doing it already.
Right.
And I was surprised.
Yep.
Because you think, a bunch of money-hungry people, and it's not.
Because you only need so much money to live. You can only buy so much of a big house and big car, or go on so many vacations, and after a while, it gets old.
Well, all the books we read, there's several chapters where they talk about charity and doing something and the reason you're helping people, and it's almost you don't believe it, but the good guys always talk about that, and they're not just saying it to look good.
Let me ask you a question. Just because it's in the news right now, so I'm going to be a little bit, I'm going to go antagonism.
Oh, sure. Well, that's good. It's a little healthier than what we used to have.
Let's talk about guns.
Sure.
Do you go to when you go to the gun range or the rifle range, whatever you want to call it, okay, what do?
You shoot at targets.
Oh.
Well, I don't go, so I'm guessing. Shoot at targets.
Oh. What do you shoot at?
Targets.
Oh. What do you shoot at?
Raccoons. Innocent people. No. I have a student who's a sharpshooter in the Coast Guard, and a few times a year he goes somewhere a few states away, and they shoot, and he's in medium upperish. But they shoot at targets.
Okay, so my question is this. Is when that person's shooting at a target, do you believe that they have to have their analytical mind in sync and they have to be in control to get that bullet to go in that small circle?
Yes, and beside that, they got rules up the yin-yang of how to hold the weapon, what you do with it, what you don't do it. They're extremely careful with it.
Okay. So the person that goes into a movie theater with a machine gun and sprays everybody, is that sanity?
That's Cuckooville, man.
Okay. Has nothing to do with the gun. Has everything to do with perhaps the medication they're on, perhaps the treatment they're in, perhaps their mental stability. Has nothing to do with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Because the same guy could use a gun and completely take care of it. There's more of those than the other.
There's way more good guys than cuckoo heads.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah, Bill?
If you're going to buy and own a gun, what do you want to buy and own a gun for? To hit the target.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's to protect yourself, you want to hit the target. If somebody's coming at you, you want to hit the target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're going to buy and sell real estate, wouldn't it make sense you want to hit the target?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it make sense that you want to be prepared for that one incident where somebody might come at you?
Yeah.
And I believe in episode number 183, 184, and 185, I've shown you the target. I've said my piece. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.